Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode here at Rockstar UK. So today we are continuing with Black Betty's engine rebuild. I've got a Gy6 engine here. You can just about see the cylinder head. Now what we're doing today is literally doing the barrel, piston and the head. We're also going to be putting in our A8 cam, which is an NCY cam as well. I've already done a little bit of prep work. Basically I've already shown you how I put together an engine, so in this episode I'm just going to crack on and do it, but like for example putting the piston on, I'll show you my little trick of pinching the rings and knocking it through. So yeah, let's crack on. So as you can see here, I've already taken the carrier off and obviously the cam cover. I've taken the cam out and obviously the cam tensioner. I've taken the 4 main bolts out, these 2 on the side and the one that sits down here, so this will all slot off. Okay, so I'm going to get to that and then we'll start looking at putting our new NCY kit on. Okay, so we've got the head off and you can see a piston. Now the little carrier that's in here, which looks like this, which slots in there, just pull that out, keep that to one side because you're going to need that. Now piston, you've got IN at the top, if it'll focus, you've got IN for inlet. Right, so you can see by a little bit of the sort of burn marks on the piston, that's because these engines are tested from factory, so you know that they're working and fully fine. So basically the hardest bit is separating the head from the block, because the gasket sort of sucks it on. So I just give it a gentle tap with a nylon mallet and that now is moving and ready to come off. So let's remove that, remove the piston, and then we'll start putting the new kit on. So now we've got our barrel and piston off, we've got our com rod here, obviously the crankshaft in there. Now this isn't a gasket on here, this is just the ink that is left. But basically all we've got to do now is just check that this gasket is sort of flush, so that when we slide our barrel and piston on we don't get any interference. So yep, all good, let's crack on. Okay, now the NCY kit comes with, you can see the piston inside the cylinder, but here's the packet of rings which will need to fit. It comes with the wrist pin or gudgeon pin, whatever you want to call it, and then the couple of clips to hold that in place. So the Rock Shop do a full video on how to install this, so I'm not going to go into massive amounts of detail, but I will give you my tip on how to fit the rings onto the piston and then put the piston into the barrel. So I've got my rings installed. Hang on, let's go back down here then. So got my rings installed, also installed that little G-clip, so that's in on one side, just on one side, so you can slide the wrist pin through once you've got it installed. Right, this is just how I do it, this isn't a like how to, this is just how I do it. Now to get that piston in nice and easy, I use a bit of plastic like this which is oiled up, and I literally try and do it one-handed, I wrap it around and squeeze it. Now that, obviously this is a sacrificial material, so I'm not going to like go burring this or damaging the rings and stuff. I can compress them quite a bit, just enough that I can then slot the edge of that just on this little chamfered edge that you can see here, and I just use the bottom of my mallet just to tap the piston down and in, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So I'll get that done and I'll show you it installed. So we got the piston installed. I just used the cylinder. I had to use a couple of cable ties just to hold it nice and steady, and just knock it in very slowly, just with the wooden end of this. Just tap each side until it goes down, and it can ever so slightly turn, but if you push it ever so slightly, it just moves nice and freely. Alright, so let's get that onto the motor. Right, so we have our barrel and piston in. Obviously the guide for pushing the tensioner down, or sorry, the tensioner pushes the guide down, which holds the chain guide in place. So obviously now you can see you got this little ridge here, so we need to put this one back in. So that will slide in there, and then we can put our head gasket on and slot the head on. Right, good evening. So this is a couple of days later. I've torqued up the head studs. I've torqued up all the M6, I think they're M6 bolts that hold all of the cylinder and that together. I've actually dragged the engine and the bike outside, and I've started loading the engine onto the main engine mount. I've just come up with a little issue, which is where the angle of the shock is. This engine has got a slight difference. Maybe I've tidied it up on the previous engine, but basically the pivot point from the engine to the suspension, the angle, it's actually interfering with a little bit on the engine. So what I've done is basically just ground down a little bit off of the shock mount itself. Just sprayed it with a little bit of spray paint, just waiting for it to dry. It's just down here by a heater. I'll wind that back on and then fit it. So I'll show you some pictures of where I am at the moment, but then in the next video we'll probably do the first fire up, get it running, you know, all of those good things. So let's show you where I am at the moment. Right, so those of you that have ever come and worked with me, you know I am a messy worker. So I have got the main bolt through to the other side, and I'll just put my little cap on there eventually. I have got to give that a couple of ugger-duggers up. Also got to put the cover on this. This is all fine. So this is it, where the issue is. You can see just in there, the angle of this, it basically just touches on there. So I've literally got to put the mount on, well, put the bit back on here and then mount it back up, and that's job done. So yeah, let's finish off. And oh, I did give the wheel a good polish whilst it was off. Give it a nice polish. All of these are on. I used all the nice pretty coloured bolts. I didn't paint the cover, the cam cover, because I just didn't fancy it this time. I might even take it off and polish it, see what sort of quality I can get out of it. But yeah, she's coming together. Hopefully get out and ride on it soon. Right, so in the next episode we'll finish off, we'll put all the seat frame back on, we'll button up the lights, and we'll put the carb on and do any tuning that we might need to do. Obviously I'm going to have to do oil and gearbox oil change. I'm just going to give it a couple of laps around the block. I'll dump that, put some new stuff in. I tend to also put something called a ZX1 oil additive in, which is like an anti-friction oil. You need tiny amounts, but it just helps that general wear on the engine parts, and it puts like an anti-friction liner in there, so it does help out. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the bell notification and the subscribe button, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Cheers.